Welcome to another episode of the Refined Peasants podcast. I'm Wyatt.
I'm Garrett.
I'm Nick.
Alright, let's get after it. Alright, in today's topic, we're going to cover the current migrant crisis going on at the border. And I'm going to go ahead and pass this over to Garrett and give you the basic information on what's going on right now.
Well, first off, I'm glad you called it a crisis, unlike the Biden administration or Jen Psaki or pretty much anyone in that whole White House. They're avoiding anything to do with calling it what it is. So, Nick, do you know anything about the crisis?
Would you acknowledge that other Democrats call it a crisis?
Yeah. So, other news networks, ABC, I think MSNBC.
Well, those aren't
CNN.
necessarily Democrats, but I mean, like other Democrat, congressmen have called it out as a crisis.
Have they?
I honestly don't know if other congressmen have, but I for sure know that the Democrat news media does.
Okay.
So, Nick, do you know anything about the border crisis?
So, from what I understood, it was It's the same as the Trump administration, if I'm correct.
Oh, nope. Super not, but we're gonna get into that. Keep going. Tell me what you think.
So the one thing I kept saying was it's the same as kids in jail, the kids in.
Oh, you meant that.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of a difference, but that is still very much true.
Then that's the part I know. I don't know much about what's happening, other than that the kids they're putting in cages essentially.
Okay. Sorry. So just right off the bat, how do you feel about what you know? So you know Biden is doing the same thing that Trump did, at least, right?
So I know even when Trump did it, I never agreed with putting kids in cages. Not in that environment, because it's like a concrete slab with some iron bars. I mean, that's not an environment you want a kid to be raised in.
Who built the cages, Joe?
Obama.
Obama.
Yep.
It was Obama.
I don't think Obama should have done it. I don't think.
I was about to say that doesn't. You're just kicking the can of responsibility, aren't you? Though.
Yeah, fucking right I am, because everyone wanted to blame Trump for it.
Okay.
Okay,
Well,
but I don't blame. I didn't like when Trump did it. I don't like when Biden's doing it. I don't think kids should be in cages. These are kids. They didn't know any better. They just went along with what their parents were doing. They're basically forced to come here.
So, okay, we're gonna get into the deeper aesthetics and what we all think about what is actually happening at the border. But right now, I'm gonna go off and I'm gonna give you some information about what is actually happening on the border as we speak, just so we know where we're starting off from. Okay. So, 14,000 plus unaccompanied minors are currently being held at the U.S.-Mexico border. 14,000 plus. This is still not operating at 100% capacity of these detainment facilities.
they're still not at 100%. I
They're
thought they
still
were over capacity.
They're still not operating at 100%. I'd have to check my source. They might. Do you have
Maybe it was specific facilities that were over, because I know that's why they're moving to the Dallas Convention Center.
It might be that not every single facility is at 100%.
Okay.
But I do know that the CDC has cleared them for 100% capacity because of stupid COVID. Hashtag fuck Fauci. Get that out of the way.
I like Fauci.
Well.
But anyway.
Okay, so 14,000 plus. Side note, this is 300% more migrant children being held than at any point during Trump's presidency. Approximately 6,000 illegal border crossings per day. Under Obama, there were 1,000, and Obama's administration deemed it a crisis. Under Trump, there were 840 illegal crossings a day. So this is 6 times the levels of illegal immigration as what happened under the Obama administration. Let's see.
Still less than the Bush administration, though.
I did not get the Bush statistics.
It's the most migrant. That's where probably the term migrant crisis came. Because at one point, I think Biden is around 130,000 this month. Bush during his peak was around 190 something. It was insane.
But is that the average through the...
No, that was at the peak during a month. I don't know what the average was. I know that the Bush era administration...
Well, because I know Trump in 2019 actually had a pretty big influx of illegal immigration, but his average throughout a 4-year...
Now, do you blame... I don't see... Okay, so the more migrants you have coming, is that a good or a bad thing? Because it seems...
So these are illegal border crossings. These are specifically illegal border crossings. I don't think we can discuss like whether or not immigration is a bad thing. I think we're all going to pretty much agree that immigration in general is a good thing.
So my argument is I don't know what is all happening during the Bush administration at the time in those countries that forced them to leave them, try to come to America.
I didn't bring up Bush to talk about Bush. I was just mentioning like this is not the worst we've seen at the border.
No. But I'm asking like,
why? But it is bad.
What circumstances are causing these people to seek out America more?
So we're going to get
before.
Well, we have the answer to that.
We do have the answer to that. At least, I'm sure me and White have very different answers. We might have the same answer. But, okay. So, another point. We are using the same facilities that were used under both Obama and Trump. These are the same exact facilities that everyone beat Trump over the head with keeping kids in cages. That's where the whole "who built the cages" Joe comes from. Is part of my beef with this whole issue is the difference in treatment between Trump and Biden and how the media treats them. Well, whether that's fair or not, we can have a discussion, but let's see. So FEMA, this was, I think, yesterday. FEMA has granted $110 million for emergency migrant care. And this is all while the Biden administration still refuses to admit that it's actually a crisis.
Well, if you call it FEMA,
it's a fucking crisis.
It's a crisis. That's what the point of FEMA is, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, and would you say that it's a good thing that they spent over $100 million there?
Nope.
You don't think we should better those facilities?
No, I think we should ship them back.
Okay. Well,
that's a lot of money.
We'll get into that. That's my first bone to pick with you the second you get done telling us the origin. Is there anything else?
Oh yeah. I got quite a bit. So, 19,426 migrant families. So these are families, not individuals, were encountered at the border in February. The Biden administration allowed over half of migrant families encountered at the border to walk right through. No detainment. Now, they did have to take COVID-19 tests. But even when you're COVID-19 positive, you go on.
Okay. So, question.
The other half were removed under certain CBP, which is Customs and Border Patrol titles. Specifically titles 42 and 8. I didn't do a lot of research into what those titles are.
42. I know what 42 is, actually. It's funny that you say that. It's so whenever COVID hit, Trump issued an executive order to if they caught you at the border because of COVID threats, they would send you back across the border. Didn't matter. Biden undid half of that. So if they caught you as a family, they could send the whole family together back. But if you were a kid, they couldn't send you back. They had to take you. And that's why you're seeing a huge surge in all of these unaccompanied minors, because you have basically told them that if you come here by yourself, they have to take you.
You think?
Right.
You think?
And that's my opinion on the surge.
You think parents are personally sending their kids knowing that the U.S.
has to keep them?
So I'm actually going to get into that because migrants quoted at the border at these facilities will flat out tell you it's because of Biden. It's because of Biden's statements that we feel confident enough to be able to come here.
Mm-hmm. So, but here's the difference, though. 2/3 of them are Central American, not Mexican.
Yeah,
which is a huge difference.
Well, yeah. So we're at. I've actually got a breakdown by this, not by the CBP, but another status. Shit, where is it? Where is it?
But I have that 2/3 of them are from Central America. And if that's the case, that would mean that they are mostly asylum seekers, wouldn't it?
I don't know what's going on.
So.
I don't know what's going on in Central America.
Well, there's the socialist takeover in Venezuela, where they're literally.
Well, that's not where most.
That's not new. That's not new news.
Yeah, that's not new news.
And that's South America.
So, two earthquakes hit Honduras, and that's a big one. El Salvador is a big one.
When?
Huh?
When did the earthquakes hit?
Pretty recent. I don't know if it's within this new year or if it happened at the cliff end of last year.
I will find out.
But I know that the earthquakes happened very recently. and their economy is crashing because of COVID, and they think they can apply for refugee status here.
I honestly don't know the qualifications, but they're not being oppressed by a government, so I don't think they can qualify for asylum.
Oh, absolutely. No, you can. It's pretty easy to claim asylum. So asylum just means that you've reached refugee status by the country you're trying to go into, and they can't kick you away unless they can prove that you're. Well, first I shouldn't say that backwards. You have to prove that you are in fact a refugee, and then you get accepted into the country.
So
that doesn't then that doesn't mean like these families that are being just let through.
Well,
they haven't gone through the procedures to.
Well, you can do it in detention.
But they're not being held; they're being released.
So into the country?
Yeah. Over half of the 19,500 families are being just straight released into the country. Nick, go ahead.
Oh, I'm looking up the Honduras. There's been March 15th, March 16th, and the latest ones March 18th of this year have been hurt.
Well, then there's no way the caravans have gotten here then.
I know that's the reason a bunch of these people are claiming. So, is there anything earlier then?
Let me look. There's 67 more rows of this, and I
think it's safe to say that these are pretty big, frequent earthquakes.
Wow. Okay. Like maybe not big, but at least frequent.
Yeah. But regardless,
March 19th was the last one.
Okay.
So right here. So just as a tidbit, I don't really care about COVID, but just to throw it in here. Approximately 6% of migrants detained at the border test positive for COVID-19. That's actually a lower statistic than Texas in general, or most of the states that these migrants are coming into. So they have a lower positive rate than the citizens of that state. And that makes sense. I mean, you've been migrating on foot, probably by bus, whatever, like across vast swaths of nothing. Not a lot of opportunity to get COVID. Okay. And then this is to your point. Migrants at the border. Oh, wait. Vast majority of illegals are coming from Central and South America. Now, Customs and Border Patrol does confirm they have caught a minority of individuals from Iran, China. India is actually experiencing a spike coming. So Indian people trying to come in through the southern border.
They're coming through the southern border.
Yes.
From Iran, China, and India.
Yes.
Do you happen to know how many?
I don't. I know it's a minority.
I would be willing to bet less than 100 at least. Like 100 would be pushing it.
I know it's at least 2% of crossings are from India.
Okay.
That's according to Customs and Border Patrol.
So for the past 30 days, Honduras has had 7 4.0 or above earthquakes, 47 3.0 to 4.0, and then between 36 from 2.0 to 3.0 earthquakes. So basically the whole month of March.
So
but there's no way
fucked, right?
But there's no way that they're made it here in 7 days.
No, this is 30 days. This whole month, past 30 days, and this is just
you could get there.
This is just Honduras.
Because
on foot through a desert.
Absolutely.
Because
it's when you're hungry enough, you're moving.
So it's Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, and Nicaragua right now are being affected the most because they're all right there in the center.
Yeah.
And Honduras is getting.
So this is Central America.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, it sucks that they're being ravaged by earthquakes because that is a fucking ravaging. Mm-hmm. Like that is
it's basically almost an earthquake.
That's a fucking.
That's almost 2 earthquakes or more a day.
Like, and do they have the average magnitude?
So 7 were 4.0 or above. 47, 4.0 above is great. That's like an almost.
No, it's not. 4.0 is something we feel here in Oklahoma.
But 7.
Well, we also have
back to back.
We also have
better infrastructure.
Modern infrastructure. They've probably got stuff that they built in the 60s.
Okay, come on now.
They don't have
like
a
4.0 is not tearing down anybody's house.
But 47 3.0s to 4.0s and 36 2. The 36 like 2 to 3.
So what do we got above? What do we got like 5 point above?
I don't know.
So you start getting to 5, 6.
You have 7 of them are 4.0 and above. They never said specifically how.
So 7 of them are significant quakes.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the center are basically Honduras.
And I mean we have. So, like, the one that hit Haiti, right? That did nothing to any of the other countries around it that have, like, good infrastructure. But Haiti, you have buildings that don't have to pass any inspections whatsoever.
Haiti's also in an island.
Boom. They just fell. Yeah, but I'm saying like it's not. It wouldn't matter if it was on an island or not. To me, it matters whether or not can your buildings. So like Japan gets hit with earthquakes all the time. It's not a problem because they build their buildings to sustain them.
So let me get this straight. The earthquakes have destroyed their infrastructure. Their economy's in the tank because of COVID, because basically no one was trading with these Central American countries because...
I would say the economy is probably the bigger force of these asylum seekers.
Yeah, but now there's probably nothing holding them there because there's a bunch of earthquakes knocked their house down.
Their jobs, even, jobs, houses, everything. It's not like they were booming to begin with, you know?
So I'm gonna go ahead and get to my final point, my final bullet point on this part. And migrants asked at the border why they chose to cross now will directly confirm that they are here as a result of the soft stance both on the campaign trail and after entering office of President Biden.
I absolutely believe that. I 100% agree with you. Because...
The fuck was that, Nick?
I'm scrolling through Snapchat. My friend sent me something. I don't know.
Well, it better be porn if you're doing it during our podcast.
Oh, gee.
Anyway.
It might be. I don't know.
But Mexico called him the migrant president. Because these people have to go through Mexico to get to... And they don't want to seek asylum in Mexico. Because Mexico is not much better than where they came from.
It's not good enough.
They want to seek asylum in America.
Well, I mean, fuck, you're halfway here.
I don't blame them. You know, it's only an extra, I don't know,
3,000 miles?
No, not the
extra
1,000,
few days.
Right?
Just extra like
maybe a week max walk. You know, like shoot, might as well. And you can claim asylum wherever you want.
Oh no, the UN says you're supposed. I think it's the UN, but the UN says that you're supposed to claim asylum in the first country that you come to.
But it is not the UN's agreement that we have.
With who? With Honduras?
No. It's not the UN. I'm sorry. It's the EU. The EU, you have to seek asylum in the first country you walk in.
No.
That's why Germany was taking so many because they were the only one that would take them. But
now this is assuming they're walking.
Yeah.
So we all assume they're probably walking. I don't know what
so.
the public transit system looks like in Honduras.
I don't think so because did y'all hear about the SUV that 13 people died from because they crashed into the hole in the border?
Well,
and there was more than just 13 people. 13 people died because of it, but there was more people in that SUV.
Well, so a lot of these border crossers are hiring coyotes.
Yep.
So, and that's probably where the vans are coming from.
Okay,
these coyotes load up a truck full and drive them across into Arizona.
Let's specify what that is.
So a coyote, for those of you who don't know, would be like a person in Mexico who you pay in some form of currency or another. A lot of times there's sexual favors that are involved in this.
Yeah, or you have to give your child to them into sex slavery.
But in exchange, they get you and your family over the border.
It's like a cartel.
And then once you're over the border, they don't care.
Sometimes
it's 100% a human trafficking cartel.
Now let's not. These are not good people.
No, and sometimes they don't even get to the border. They'll just drop you off in the desert.
Drop you off in the desert, and they just leave you for dead. Like these coyotes are just not people that are good people.
No. Right.
Cartel-like. So, what is the biggest issue to you guys here? Nick, what do you think? What is the biggest issue here?
It has to be the locking of kids.
It's the kids, yeah. For me, it's the kids too. What do you think?
So, I of course don't want children locked up in cages. My biggest thing is these children aren't coming here alone. These children are no one's transporting, or no one's just, like a 5-year-old's not marching up from Honduras on their own. Right?
No.
Can we agree?
No. They're coming in groups, though, from everything that I've been reading. So it'll be like a community of kids. And regardless what country they're from, their parents will send them because it's just better life here.
Right, the coyotes are just getting like, okay, we're going to take 5 kids that we've gotten money for, and we're going to transport them all at the same time.
Yep.
So, first part, hang the coyotes.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is essentially a human trafficking ring.
No,
if you don't think so, like, some of these kids don't ever make it across the border to get dropped off in the middle of the fucking desert, which is what happens. Like, you want to talk about how many people die just in the deserts of Arizona because they're dropped off? Because they don't give you food and water. They take you here and they drop you.
Yep.
Okay, so just the needless loss of life, but then how many of them actually get sold into sex slavery? Like, and of course this is all speculation, but But
we know at least a little bit of that does actually happen.
yeah,
So it's not 100% speculation.
So what is it?
I think you're right.
I watched a show where they went, and it was just a border. Like they would show you, how the border patrol works, and they just find backpacks of. He's like, yeah, this guy didn't make it. You can tell because backpacks here.
well, they used to have a show on it where it was like cops except just border patrol.
Yeah.
Of course, that got canceled before Live PD because it was racist, and then Live PD got canceled because it was racist.
But so I don't even know where to go from there.
I guess so. My big problem is the illegal immigration as a whole.
Okay.
Because the illegal immigration, like the fact that these people feel so confident to send. I mean, what would it take for you to send your child without you?
Yeah.
To this country, not only I mean, it costs anywhere. So I saw somewhere online that the average cost is like $6,000 to $10,000 US. Now, to Central America or even Mexicans, that's a lot of fucking money.
That's where the sexual favors comes in.
Yeah, but you're trusting your kid to somebody you don't know.
Life must be pretty bad, right?
Life must suck really hard.
For you to be willing to risk that on your kid.
But see, you also know that the families are being just walked through. You have a 50-50 shot, approximately, of just being let into the country when you march through with a family. And not being detained. So why wouldn't... These kids aren't getting there on their own. Their parents are probably taking them. They're probably separating somewhere near the border to give their kids a better shot too. It's like, okay, we're here. Let's at least get my kids in. If I get turned back, that's fine. At least my kids are in the U.S.
Okay, so I guess let's tackle the immigration part first. So what do you do to stop this from going forward? Let's ignore for now the people we already have in detainment. What do you do to prevent future stuff?
You have to send a message that you're not going to allow it.
Okay. So your attitude towards something is important. I would agree. So if you have a come here, we're open type mentality, that's obviously going to encourage more people to come to your country, right? And I think Joe Biden has had definitely a more open strategy,
I mean, definitely more than Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah.
And if that's the case, if you're making the argument for attitude, again, 6,000 a day to 840.
No, I'm just saying attitude plays a part, and I think it matters.
No, again, those numbers would show that it does in fact matter.
Okay, so what do we do? Because Kevin McCarthy wants Biden to call the guard.
Which would you have to...
If you have to militarize your border, you have to militarize your border.
You know how many states have to get to do that?
Well,
not just Texas.
Well, really, Texas and California. Like, you want to face... Like, it's Texas and California where these people are coming. No one's making it through the fucking Mojave. Okay? You walk through Death Valley, there's a reason it's called Death Valley. And that's really unfortunate. I wish these people didn't have to needlessly die in the desert. I really, really do. Especially children. I definitely don't want the 5, 6-year-old or even the 17, 18-year-old who's just coming here because their parents said, hey, this is where you need to go. Trust this man. I've paid him to take care of you. And they drop you off in the center of the desert. I don't want those people dead. I really don't. But what are we to do?
The problem is they're dropping them off in a place they've never seen, a country they've never seen, and they just said, all right, go that way. You don't know if they're pointing in the right direction. You don't know where anything is.
These coyotes are criminals.
Yeah. You could be walking for miles. You'll hit ocean if you go the wrong way before you'll hit the United States. If you start walking in the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
And just because the coyotes are criminals does not make... These illegal immigrants are the victims of coyotes, but they are still knowingly trying to break the law. That's like when you go to a drug dealer and you try to buy illegal substances. Like, your drug dealer is breaking a bigger law than you are, but you're still breaking a law.
Do you know what the penalty is for crossing the border?
I'm going to assume you're going to tell me it's a misdemeanor.
It is a misdemeanor.
That's still...
Well, I'm just trying to separate it from the kidnappings that coyotes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm not trying to equate. I'm not trying to equate them at all.
So it's very much it's a non-violent crime, for the most part.
Because you're not really harming no one. You're just trying to seek a better life.
Yeah.
So no, yeah, it wouldn't be. It wouldn't. There's no reason to make it a felony.
If you're honestly seeking asylum, then I think you deserve to be heard.
Yeah, but there's a right way to seek asylum.
But you have to go. I think you have to go through the courts and.
You do.
There's a whole lot you got to do. Department of Homeland Security has to vet you, make sure that you're not going to do anything stupid. Yeah, and no one has a problem with any of this.
No.
This is not,
No.
I
mean, clearly they do if they're just releasing 50% of them into the country without any kind of vetting. Just COVID-19 test, all right, bye.
And those are families?
Those are families.
Okay. Where are you hearing that from? Because I have not
Customs
heard...
and Border Patrol.
Sounds like they ain't doing
That is
their
their
jobs.
own statistic.
Sounds like they're not doing their job then.
But they do the job they're told to do.
That is fair. That is a fair point.
I mean, what was it? It was early. It was just after Biden took office. There was that audio clip of someone at Border Patrol saying, like, just let them all into the fucking country. It was something.
No
It was
idea.
something to that effect. The news, I think Fox covered it, but it was a frustrated phone call because they were starting to get overwhelmed at a facility, and they called their superior, and their superior's like, well, I don't know. I guess we're just supposed to let them into the fucking country.
Okay, so from what I've established, it is our position, I guess, as a whole. I think we all three agree on this. If you catch someone, you have to figure out if they're seeking asylum, then you have to give them to the right people. If they're just crossing here to cross here, what do you do?
Deport them.
Okay.
You turn them the fuck back around.
Okay. Just out of the country or like to the country they came from? What is it?
The problem is, would you send someone in the desert? If you saw someone on the border, you'd be like, no, turn around.
Well, there are towns on the border we could send them to, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, even then,
you can make an outpost and find out where they're from, and then send them back.
You're not gonna make any friends with Mexico if you do that, because if you just drop non-Mexicans,
we're already super not friends with Mexico.
I think we're pretty decent friends with Mexico.
I guess that's true. We did have a new North American trade agreement, thanks Trump.
Yep.
But
so I guess you can make compounds to where you sit these people down, you ask them where they're from, and then you can do it. Because you can't just send
it's
people...
almost like we should build detainment facilities at the border.
It's almost like we have those.
Yeah, but we're not doing it right. We're just keeping these people.
Well,
there.
I think
So
the
the
biggest
problem
people have is that they're on our soil.
I think the biggest problem people have is the kids. Because no one ever focuses on the adults being held in captivity. You know how impossible it was to find about adults being held in these camps?
It's because journalists don't care.
Yeah, it's because nobody cares. Because they're adults.
There is a good point there. Why are journalists not allowed to see these camps? Why are they allowed not to go into these?
We can detour over to that for just a second.
I mean, obviously,
same reason as it was during the Trump administration. They don't want them to see it yet.
They don't want to see the bad.
Exactly. No, I know you're absolutely right.
You don't want to see something. You don't want to see a facility that's not.
They literally
finished.
turned a convention center into a detainment facility overnight.
So I'm gonna go. So we're gonna go over the conditions a little bit.
And to be fair, we don't for sure know. We haven't been allowed in there yet, right?
Yes, we do not for sure know.
So what we're hearing is from the lawyers of the people seeking asylum.
Yes.
Okay.
That is what my information is from. Hang on, I'll give you my sources. So my first source is a Fox News interview with Mark Meadows, former White House chief of staff under Donald Trump. Okay, on the lack of transparency at the border. He said during the Trump administration, reporters were allowed in at the southern detention facilities. I mean, that's obviously true. AOC took that picture at the southern border. Well, it was supposed to be at the southern border. It was actually at a parking lot. But journalists were allowed, I think, as soon as 2018.
But it wasn't in the kid facility. So the reason...
They were allowed in these kid facilities. That's how kids in cages trended.
Yeah, do you want to know why they... So before that happened, do you want to know why that they had to let them in?
Because kids were dying.
Because I think 7, 8 kids died. So at that point, their hands were tied. They had to let them in.
I don't think that's
so.
true.
I'm going to make the assumption that these facilities have not changed since the Trump administration.
No, not in 2 months. They fucking haven't.
No, there's no way. Can we just assume that
that everything they accuse Donald Trump's facilities of
is the same?
Is currently being done.
I'm not going to say that they're not trying to
300% of migrant children.
I'm not
300% more.
I'm not going to say they're trying to better these facilities because we don't know. We don't know if they're trying to work on them, make them better.
Credit where credit's due. They have, again, allocated $110 million via FEMA. So they're for sure at least trying to make it better.
But that takes a lot of time to revamp a facility.
we do live in a bureaucratic society. It is very hard. I mean, again, Biden has been here 60 days. So
Let's give him some slack.
well, hold on. No, fuck that.
No, fuck that.
No, fuck
Oh,
that.
no. You can't expect
No.
you can't expect him to automatically just change those facilities.
I for sure fucking can when it's his own rhetoric that's encouraging the migrant
And
influx.
How
at the border.
how much money and time do you think it would take to revamp those whole facilities? It'd take a long time, and he's been here 60 days, and you're expecting...
It doesn't take that long to ship actual blankets to them. Would
I'm
you
not
like?
saying this
Hang on. Let's go over exactly what their lawyers claim the condition is. Okay, so again, if you know anything about what the Trump migrant facilities were accused of, we've already agreed that nothing has probably changed in these facilities in the 2 months Biden's been in office. Right? We've all agreed to that. Nothing has likely changed.
Generally speaking, yes. Because they don't have the
funds.
For a short time, it was better, but then they just got swamped and they didn't have the resources to deal with it. So they had to revert back.
I'm going to start with my source. My source is BBC News. I figured, I don't really care what the British fucking think of us. But as far as an unbiased source, the British have no dog in this fight. Is that fair enough? Yeah. This is an article titled, "What is Happening with Migrant Children at the Southern U.S. Border?" Written 3/17/21. So, first bullet point is, journalists are not currently being allowed in the facilities. We've kind of covered that. Lawyers representing the children describe conditions as cramped and overcrowded. Obviously, there's 14,000 fucking children in cages.
I'll give you an even better quote. I don't know if it's the director, but the head of the Department of Health and Human Services said it is no place for a child.
Wow.
I would imagine it's like packing sardines in a can.
Them and there's another organization. It may be the Department of Homeland Security that overheads them, but they are like, this is not for children. This is...
Okay, not being given adequate food or soap. This is another quote from the lawyers. Kept in metal cages under foil blankets. This is a South Park episode.
Yeah.
If you've seen Mexican Joker episode of South Park,
it's hilarious.
This is what they're being kept in. Mm-hmm. And again, you can make the argument these are the conditions they were kept in under Trump. Except it's 300% more children in the same facilities.
So I'm not going to make that argument because you would never take that argument. Obama hardly ever got to say, no, this was, Bush's problem, and it was, y'all didn't treat Bush the same over this same problem. No.
Except over the entire economic recession.
Well, that's different because that is a fact. And I'm not talking... So it's not how they handled the economy. They handled the economy different, but that's a separate subject. He never got to say, well, I handled this identical to George Bush, and nobody cared about George Bush, how he handled it. I'm not going to do that because I hated when Trump did it. Because Trump would say, they'd say something, and then he'd say, well, nobody cared when Obama did it. And I guess there's a sense of hypocrisy there, don't get me wrong. But I'm not going to do it for Biden because it's not a waste of time. It's a waste of time to me because Trump, can't fix it right now. Only Biden can.
So, I'm going to give you that. My whole point, the reason I'm going to keep, and you're going to hear me have this dog all this entire episode. My big problem, and why I'm going to keep bringing Trump into it, is the way the media treated Trump over the exact same policies, the exact same facilities. The only significant difference is the amount of children being held there, and how just dog shit they treated him over it. And that's my beef.
Can we say rightfully so, though?
So these are horrible conditions.
Yes.
I'm not begrudging Biden doing what he has to do with illegal immigrants. I think illegal immigration needs to be stopped. Now, and I don't think that taxpayers should have to fund housing for illegal immigrants being kept here. Do I want children sleeping under tinfoil blankets? No. I don't. I don't want them being kept in cages. But what are we supposed to do? We can discuss alternatives, but alternatives that are going to be cost-effective to taxpayers? The government spends way too much of my goddamn money as it is. And why are we spending it on housing immigrants that should just be shipped fucking back to where they came from? And yes, I realize that it's more cost-effective just to keep them in the detention centers here, but turn them, if they're walking across in the middle of fucking Texas, turn them around and make them walk back. And that sucks. I
Yeah,
realize
the
that these are children.
Here's the problem with that.
I really do.
You can't.
But these children didn't come here by themselves. They have parents. They have parents that sent them with that coyote. Find those motherfuckers or send them to... send them back to this nearest city. Even if you gotta bus them.
The problem is...
Get that self-driving
Okay,
fucking bus that runs trips from fucking San Antonio back to Mexico City 3 times a day.
So the problem is, you said, like, if you see anyone walking around in Texas, that could just be a normal person just taking an afternoon walk that he takes every day.
Well, yeah, in the middle of the fucking Mexican desert, I don't fucking think
near
so.
the border too. You know what I'm saying?
There's people who live
Plus, if it was an innocent person, he would have something on him, like, you know.
Yeah, but you can't see how, like,
I can see how that could
you would
be
hate it
abused.
every day, or even more than once a day. Like, someone says, hey, where are your papers, boy? Like, you get pulled over for, you're just taking an afternoon stroll that you take every day.
No, and I get
but
that.
I really don't think that's the issue, though.
And I don't think
It's
that's
not, but,
happening
like,
as often as you might think it is.
Yeah, no one's like, I'm gonna stroll 50 miles into the fucking desert.
Because
they're a whim.
There's enough...
People go hiking all the fucking time.
There's enough...
Right in the fucking desert, they don't!
They do it all the time in Arizona.
Hold on. There's enough real immigrants for these guys to capture
Mm-hmm.
for them to be rounding up people who might kind of sort of be.
Right, I got a feeling they stop you and you pull out a US ID.
And
you're
then
like,
it's the end of conversation.
Bye.
No. Okay, but I would have to disagree with you on the kids thing. Like, you can't just ship a kid back to... You can't tell a kid to turn around in the middle of the desert.
Well, why should we care about them more than their parents did?
Because their parents at least try to give them a better life.
No, they didn't. They gave them to a coyote. And you're going to tell me
That's
that
an
these
ass-
people
that's an
don't understand
assumption.
what's happening to
That's
them?
an assumption, though. You're
No.
assuming. Not all...
You're right. I'm assuming the parents weren't murdered and the children were kidnapped and then dropped off for absolutely no profit.
You're assuming that all the kids have been sent by coyotes. For all you know...
Oh, they for fucking sure are.
How do
If
you
they're
know- how do
coming
you know
across
the
without parents...
How do you know that parents said, all right, we're a mile away from that word. Walk that way.
There is
All the more
also-
reason to turn them the fuck back and say, go back to your mama and daddy.
Those parents could just leave. You can't just send a 5-year-old wandering in the desert. They won't make it a half hour.
Yeah.
And
I know.
And I can't allow that to happen. That's not humanitarian.
Escort them.
I can't do
You
that.
have no jurisdiction in
Yes, you
Mexico. That's
can.
the problem.
We
have no
a-
jurisdiction
I would
in Mexico.
I would argue
Call
that
the
we,
Mexican Border
we
Patrol
have
and say,
a
hey,
moral
come on.
obligation to, at the bare minimum, take care of children.
Take care of them by sending them back to the same parents that abandoned them.
Do you give them provisions?
Yeah, okay, I'll give you food and water.
How about this?
I think it's more...
Why not keep them for a day? Keep them for a
The-
day. Make sure they're
the
hydrated, healthy. Because you don't want to send a sickly kid.
If we're having negotiations right now, absolutely.
No, I think it would be more cost effective to have these kids at these detention centers than it would be to ship them back to the city they came from in, like, Honduras.
Are there doctors there
or,
at those
yes.
facilities?
Yes, there's physicians, doctors.
Are they every day checking kids?
Now, here's the thing. So, whenever the border thing was small, there actually was more money added. So they got doctors, they got physicians, nutritionists, stuff that they needed. The problem is, there is so many kids, Nick, they don't have enough doctors and physicians to do this.
Right.
I think it's a resource problem. And then, so like Garrett said, now, since, they had to do something with these kids, it's back to business as usual. It's back to the Trump-era policies, which everyone should rightfully be pissed about, I would imagine.
I mean,
Like I said, I don't want kids kept in cages, but fleeing...
okay.
If I were to take my children and ship and try and get all the way up to Germany's border, and even though Germany says, no, you're not allowed in here, say, hey, they'll let you in because you're kids. You realize that leaves open a huge... Like, just because you're under the age of 18, we're going to have to take care of you?
Okay. I think as a... Like, for the human race, we have an obligation to take care of kids.
How old are these kids? On average.
They're unaccompanied minors. We don't have a specific age group.
Because I'm like, okay,
Or at
5
least
years old.
I didn't.
Let's say at least they're like 10 years old, or a little less. Say 7 to 10. You think they know what country they came from, especially if they just been in water?
Yeah,
I bet it. No.
If you're 7 or up, you know where you're from.
we say that. We also have a half decent education system here, though. I'm not going to make that. But I'm assuming they know what country they came from. They walked through it, like.
But okay, say you didn't go to. I don't want to assume Honduras education, but say it's like the U.S. was back then. You lived on a farm. You didn't go to school. You worked on a farm all day.
I think that's tossing. So I don't care if they know.
But you can't. Okay, if they don't know what country they came from, you don't know where to send them back. And if you send them to the wrong place,
Ignorance
won't
of the
survive.
law is no excuse.
Yes, but if you send them to a wrong place, they won't survive. They won't. And you're essentially just sending them to their death. Or they're going to be spending their whole
You're right.
life.
That's absolutely what these parents are doing.
No, I'm talking about if you just send these kids back to a random country, either they're going to grow up poor or they're going to grow up dead.
I think their parents have at least.
So we have to take in
some-
every hard-trodden family that just comes in for.
No, but you got to do the kids at least because
here's what I'm saying.
they won't survive by
if you
themselves.
find a kid alone, a group of kids even, alone in the desert, right?
Can we at least hang the parents then? If we take care of the kids and we find the parents, can we hang the
Jesus
parents?
Christ!
It's child abandonment.
For a better life, you're going to hang a guy?
How are you gonna find the parents?
I don't. Let's just assume. Let's just assume we can find them.
No.
These kids or these parents sent their kids with a total stranger to get dropped off in another country. Just straight up abandoned them.
Why do you think they
Basically
did that?
sold them.
Why do you think they did that?
Because they're pieces of shit.
No. I mean, like, honestly, like, what would have to cause you to give your
You're
daughter
giving them
to a top country on the planet?
What if you're
The thought that they would to be taken care of.
Okay.
The idea that they will be
I
taken
think
care
that's
of.
at least closer to fair. I don't think these parents
No,
just
I'm-
want them to get butt fucked by coyotes.
Okay, I have a question.
You know.
That's I'm
Being a
hyped
parent.
up about this. I'm being a little over dramatic.
So
I don't actually want to hang the parents. I'm just saying what these parents are doing is detestable.
Okay, but
to me.
think about it like this. All right, you're in the desert. You would give your kids water before you. You make sure your kids.
Absolutely.
What if these parents are severely dehydrated? They know they're not going to make it those extra miles.
Well, that's a minority. That I would doubt that ever happens. So what?
These people are coming from an impoverished country. They probably don't have the provisions enough to last.
There's
a
literally
big group.
a river called the Rio Grande
Here is
with
what
flowing water.
here
like
is
right
what
there.
we know for a fact. The majority of them are.
To get to the
They are
point.
literally. Their parents are in their home country. They are sending them. They may walk with them till they get to the border. They are sending them alone across the border. And the reason they are doing that is because under Biden's executive order, they have to, by law, take care of the kids. Take care of
So it's
as in
encouraging
capture.
child abandonment.
In a sense, I guess you could say yes.
And no one finds that detestable.
No, I admitted in the earlier part of the
It
podcast
is,
that
it
that's
is.
a loophole.
So it's kind of like
Right?
how welfare used to be back then. If you were a single parent, you got more money.
Then if you had two,
So it was more
household.
incentive that you just kick the father out. So you, as the mother with a single kid or more kids, you get more money.
Well,
So it's an incentive to, I'll get turned around, but my kid will at least get
That's
it.
the Republican argument against welfare in the 1960s.
No, but my point is, that's the incentive. Is I won't make it. My kids will. That's all that, to a parent, that's all that matters.
so here's
I
the
don't
kid.
think. I honestly, I'm not looking at it from a point of view like these parents want what's best for their kid. Well, okay.
Okay.
You would do whatever
So,
you could to get your kid to a better life.
So here's what I thought was interesting. According to Border Protection, from during the Trump administration, 290,000 unaccompanied minors were found.
Is that over a 4-year period?
Yes.
Okay.
4% of them were removed from this country. That's it. I don't know what 4% of 290 is. I didn't do the math.
So what's happening to
It's
the
not
other
important.
96?
They're here, claiming asylum.
Under like who? Who's their guardians?
I don't know, but they're unaccompanied minors. I'm assuming we gave them to ORR, the Office of Refugee Resettlement, and they basically give them. I don't know what they do. I don't know if they just give them their own little housing, if they throw them in foster care, which arguably could be awful, because I think foster care is wildly underfunded. But
It is.
not the discussion for today.
No.
But even during the Trump era, sending them back was not an option. You know, that's the point I'm trying to make. And I don't think
Even Trump wasn't sending the children back.
I feel like that's political suicide. You're sending these kids back.
Well, I must admit, I do have a soft spot for kids.
Well,
I
yeah.
do. I really.
Well, I wasn't
I
saying
don't-
that you weren't. I was just
No,
saying
I
No
know.
one wants to
I-
see these kids go through this. No
Look,
kid should.
I'm pissed off. I really am. I'm pissed off because of the way the difference between Biden and Trump's treatment. I'm pissed off that there's 14,000 plus kids that were just. Again, these parents know what these coyotes are capable of. And you're still paying them that amount of money and just hoping your kid makes it across the border.
There's the key word there. It's hope.
No.
Well,
You're-
that's to his point, to Garrett's point, wouldn't you think?
So
that
So,
you know, they're
from a
just
parent-
they might make it across the.
so
board.
you're as a
they
parent,
might not get sold for cocaine halfway through.
They might be.
They might not
might
get
be
butt
making
fucked
the
by
cocaine.
15 different coyotes before they make it across the border.
Okay.
Because that's better for your child than being raised by their
You don't know.
parents. No matter how hard your life
So
is.
wait, just to circle back. So we've agreed, family. I have no problem if you catch family, you gotta send them back. I have no problem with that.
Okay, so the 50% that are being allowed through the United States anyway, without any kind of procedures.
According to the COVID protocols, we are not supposed to do that. So I have no problem with sending them back. It may be a resource problem. It may be the system is too flooded, they can't take them. I don't know, but I think that's a bullshit excuse. If they were to use that excuse. So, if it's an unaccompanied minor, you gotta take them. That's just personal opinion.
Why do you think it's a bullshit excuse that you're overflooded?
Well,
Because what do you do when your legs
well, if you're
getting too much
seeking-
water? You got to open the dam up, otherwise that dam will bust and all the water gets out.
If you are seeking asylum, we have to vet you first. Vet means investigate your past, make sure that you're not doing stupid stuff in this country.
Right.
Yes.
If we're just letting, what you said, 50% into this country without any, that is no longer an immigration problem. That is a national security problem, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
It is.
In my opinion.
Should we probably speed up the process to be vetted?
So we're going to discuss how we should refigure immigration later on, I think. But I want to deal with the problem right now. Like, what should what should third-term Obama be doing now?
Can we all agree that this is a dam that's going to bust if we don't fix it soon?
I don't think so. Because a border crisis isn't like a dam. So a dam, there's just so much pressure that you can't hold it back anymore.
Think about it. You only have a finite amount of resource, a finite amount of manpower. Eventually, like you said now, there's not enough manpower or resources to take care of this.
So you've got two options. You can
increase resources.
Devote manpower and resources, or you can, in your analogy, take or throw away more water, which means you'd have to ship the kids back. You'd have to give them a fast track through the system.
Would that not be at least for kids? Because there's no way a kid.
110 million from FEMA. They are increasing resources to these care facilities.
Can we all agree that these kids are probably not drug dealers?
Can we also agree that no matter how bad...
No, they're kids.
No matter...
Exactly. So we can probably start vetting them a lot faster than we can. I get adults. You don't want to make sure no crazy adults...
You say that, but how many... How many 16-year-olds are you going to let in from Iran?
Different culture. You're completely...
Is it?
Kind of.
Central Americans are brutal, bro.
They are, but... I mean...
You stumble on some coca leaves in Central America, let's see how long you last.
I could argue the age. I could say, look, if they're under 15, whatever...
I had YouTube brainwashed before you were 15.
Whatever they have planted in their head at 15
can be reversed.
That can be reversed, especially because they're coming here in hope of being an American, or at least becoming an American citizen.
Or at least that's what they tell you.
I don't think that there's a secret, El Salvadorian plot to overthrow our government.
Oh, so that's one thing I do want to touch on. The idea that crime rates committed by illegals. That's statistically actually lower than citizens.
Higher risk for them.
That's verified by every source I checked out. And with verified attachments to these gangs, like Trump said, MS-13 specifically, it's less than 1% of these illegals have ties to that gang.
Right. So
this is proven, verified ties. We can document you have ties to this. So
statistically, that 16-year-old is less likely to be in a gang.
Far less.
So what's the problem with vetting for speeding the vetting?
Fast-tracking the vetting.
What's wrong with that?
So you have to go through
because then you still got to figure out what you're going to do with these minors. Even if we fast-tracked it, what are you going to do with these kids who are less than 15 who can't come get a job, who can't come...
You throw them into the Office of Refugee Resettlements, and they will take care of it. And they're the ones that are meant for this.
What's their funding?
Border Patrol is not meant for this. They are not meant to hold you for more than 72 hours.
Yeah, it's actually illegal.
Yes.
So I have a question. How much funding does that organization get?
I don't know.
70% of the migrant children still being held are over the 72-hour period.
What is that place?
That's also from Customs and Border Patrol.
Yes.
So what is that anagram or the place called?
the Office of Refugee Resettlement. And I have no problem if you can fast track them to there. But the problem is, I think you have to see refugee status.
And there still needs,
know.
which means there still needs to be vetting, correct?
Right. And so here's the problem with vetting. So you have to first get a judge to acknowledge that, yes, you are, in fact, a validated, considered refugee. But it doesn't stop there. Because Homeland Security has to take that and hope that you don't get lost in the system, vet you before you're granted asylum. And then from there, once you've reached asylum, that now some states are fast at this. Like California has like major departments
They've devoted state resources to it.
Yes, and Texas will not.
Yeah, I don't blame Texas.
Now I will. So Arizona and New Mexico, those are the two at the southern border, right? Two.
Yes.
It's those two. Okay.
They don't have Mexico also. So it's
they don't
Texas,
have the
New Mexico, Arizona, California.
Yeah. So Arizona and New Mexico may not have the money to devote
the state
finances.
finances.
So the Office of
Texas
Refugee
does.
Resettlement
Oh yeah.
gets a
No, they don't have an estate income
a
tax.
budget of $1.9
They still
billion
don't have
dollars.
It
How
sounds
much?
like a lot.
$1.905 billion.
Is that as of what year?
2019.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
fiscal year.
under Trump, we can assume that's probably gone up under Biden. And
So they
budget.
they have the funding to probably take care of this the right way.
1.9 billion sounds like a lot, but
You're also they probably never dealt with this many kids.
And
oh no, not in our lifetimes.
so again, I'm not cutting Biden any slack. But he has only been here for 60 days.
Presidential policy has a huge. I mean, again, it's his rhetoric and his stance on illegal immigration that has caused the influx.
Okay, so you want to reduce the influx of kids
Yes.
coming here.
So should he go back on it?
So he's already tried.
So he's already tried to backtrack.
Yeah, he's already his Department of Homeland Security has come out and said, "Don't come now." That's as far as they've gone. Is don't come now, because we are fucking way over.
Yes.
Like we can't handle you. Like
So I'm gonna go back to my dam analysis. So lake's starting to flood. All right. That dam can only hold for so long.
So we just let everybody through in your analysis?
No.
We
do
just
not
let
we
open the floodgates, let them come through until
No.
we got it to a sustainable portion, and then we shut it back off? Because that's not an answer to me.
No. So you let some out. The kids.
Shit, that's more
Clearly-
of an answer than throwing
Clearly,
them back.
clearly, the ORR
ORR.
has enough funding to deal with this. They can reasonably deal with it a lot better than Border Control can. So
Then why aren't they being turned over?
I don't know. I don't know why. Why do you know?
So there's a pretty hefty process to get these kids from, these detention centers to ORR. And some of them are getting pushed over. The problem is there are so many kids that Border Patrol doesn't have the manpower to do it.
So I'm again going to push this as Biden's fault. When the migrants at the border
Of
are
course
saying,
it's Biden's fault.
Yes.
okay then.
Who else's fault would it be?
So should we make it?
You
Should we
know,
make the
like-
process to be in ORR faster? Get them fast tracked into it.
No.
Then what are you gonna do?
Because then all you're doing is encouraging more of the same. Do you think we should just continue to let this giant flood of migrant children to come into our country?
No, I don't think we should.
Like, is this
But
going to be a new normal
Let's
again?
Let's
Well-
deal with the kids that are here now.
Well, that's the part. That
Okay,
we're
but
talking
nothing
about
is
the
ever
kids now.
temporary with the government. Social Security was supposed to be temporary and fucking 60, 70 years ago. Nothing's ever Once you make it, that's how it is.
They can only be changed.
You say that. You say that, but that's not how it is.
An executive order caused this. An executive order can end this. It can.
Now that's fair. That he's got a fair point, because it is an executive order, an executive execution that is causing this.
So I'm not saying, of course, we should not
executive policy, I should
But
say.
I think we should, for a short period of time at least, try to fast track this.
Nope.
Otherwise, what can you realistically?
I'm sick of giving inches and getting miles taken from me. I'm
That's-
sick of it. I'm sick and fucking
That is a
tired
fair
of
point.
it.
The oldest thing is that you give an inch, you'll give a foot. You give a foot, you give a yard, you'll give a mile.
Yeah. And I'm sick of giving inches, man.
So, but
Every time I give an inch,
they
somebody
obviously
wants to
can't.
take
They
a
obviously
mile.
can't be sitting in these camps. They
I don't
can't.
want them sitting in camps, Nick. I really don't.
And you can't.
But
you can't.
damn it, I'm not gonna have open borders.
I'm not asking for open borders.
You're
I'm not.
asking to open the floodgates temporarily.
I'm
There's
asking,
just open
I'm asking
borders.
for a little trickle. I'm asking you to build a
Yeah,
little
God
trickle.
damn it, that's how it happened. That's how everything, the slippery slope arguments from the 1980s
Okay.
has been proven
Then
right
at some
every
point-
fucking time.
Do you know who
Don't
had
care.
the
It was
single greatest amnesty program, single biggest amnesty
Oh,
program?
Reagan, right?
It's Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
The problem is
Good for him.
we're already overworked. We have to move these kids to.
I would rather my taxpayer dollars go to sending them back. I'm gonna be straight with you.
What do you do then? You just send them on a bus, ship
Yeah.
them out.
You fucking right.
It'd have to be a plane, or honestly, it'd probably have to be a ship. It's at this rate.
That's 6,000 crossings a day? Yeah. That's my problem is, I'm not gonna trust the Biden administration to just let it trickle.
That's
Because
fair.
every single time, we try to give just a little bit, and they end up taking a fucking mile, and I've had it. I have totally fucking had it. That's why Donald Trump got elected, because a majority of Americans had fucking had it with being taken for everything we're worth every time we turn around.
And
Every time we decide, okay, you know what, gay marriage probably not the worst thing in the world. Oh, son of a bitch, now we have transgender rights. Some dude just got locked up for calling his daughter a she in court, or his transgender son a she in court.
that one got held in contempt.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, it's a judge's courtroom. I'm gonna assume it was a gut call.
You can go fuck yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think
But-
you should be locked up.
So,
either,
but all I'm hearing is that there's no ground that you're willing to give up, and if there's no ground you're
I'm
willing to give
fine.
up,
I will
and I
give
will
you
admit-
kids.
I will admit.
Kids under the age of 14. Under the age of 14, we can hold them here. Everybody else caught crossing that goddamn border illegally, you fucking ship them.
how do you know their age?
By looking at them. I don't
Garrett-
care if we have to
Garrett-
DNA test
Garrett-
every single
Garrett,
fucking
I
one of them.
I don't
if
look
you-
my age.
If you set
I
an
look
age
younger than
bar-
I am.
Yeah, get the fuck out.
If you set an age bar, they're just gonna lie, and they don't have any. It's not like they have paperwork.
Get the fuck out. I don't care. If I eyeball you as less than 15, fuck on.
The eye test. I don't know about the eye
Yeah,
test.
yeah,
I
again,
want something
again,
a little
I
bit
don't care.
more objective.
Again, I look a lot younger than I actually am.
I would rather my taxpayer dollars go to shipping you fucking back.
Well,
So, hang on, because this is a good transition onto what illegal immigration and how it affects you personally as a taxpayer.
before we get there, I just want to. Last thing, don't forget your thought. Okay.
I'm not. I got it written down.
Okay, that's
Okay.
good. Okay.
You can read and write.
So from what I'm hearing is that you're not giving any ground.
you know,
And neither are Republicans right now. And specifically Kevin McCarthy.
Something needs to be done.
I don't disagree with you.
somewhere's
But
gotta
if
give.
you're
We've-
not willing to give any ground, you may as well not have a seat at the table, and we've got to move forward. We've got to have a solution to
That's
this problem.
bullshit.
You can be a part
That
of
is bull.
somewhere's
you
got
can
to
shit.
give before it breaks.
My seat at the table is telling you to send them the fuck back.
Okay, and if
And
you're
the
not
opposite
willing,
saying-
That
no.
other 50% that's crossing this border illegally, stop it.
I
And
agree.
if you're-
You shouldn't just let anyone in.
if you're
But these are kids.
and if you're
Okay. So
not going to give any ground whatsoever when you're in the minority,
particularly about children, or are we talking about particularly about illegal immigration?
Let's talk about
Because
this.
these are two different discussions.
Let us be specific. Let's talk about children first. Children
children
children.
specifically. I'm trying to wrap up the conversation. I'm just letting you know what this is going to lead to, because this is exactly what happened in that stimulus bill.
No fucking way.
Joe Manchin dealt with Republicans, and we got this bipartisan stimulus bill passed. Not
Ain't no
one
way.
fucking Republican voted for it.
Ain't no fucking way Joe Manchin, a Democrat from West Virginia, votes to okay open borders. No way.
That's actually not a big
I'm willing
issue
to-
in that entire region.
I'm gonna bet it is. So Okay, look,
it's really not a
on
big
the
issue.
subject of these children, I'm gonna set an age limit, and I'm gonna say 14 and under. Okay, 14 and under.
Is there a way to prove that they're 14 and under?
I don't care. If you have to eyeball it, eyeball it. But if you can prove these kids are 14 and under, and I mean prove it, then we should take care of them. I don't want kids in cages. I don't want... And you're right. You know, given the benefit of the doubt to some of these parents, I would never, ever trust the welfare of my child to somebody who has the reputation these coyotes do. Fucking period. They're better off with me. I don't care how hard life is. If I'm a farmer in a goddamn desert, they're better off with me.
What if you were a refugee in China?
Oh, like a Christian refugee in China?
Mm-hmm. I would...
Yeah, for sure.
Do almost
but
anything to get
these
my
people
kid
aren't
out of
being
there.
executed.
Even if it meant giving them to someone who... They're not good people, but they are marginally better in my example than the Chinese.
These people aren't being threatened with execution. They're being threatened with a hard life.
A level of hard you and I can't even understand.
That you know what? American privilege. You're absolutely right. I can't understand what these people are having to go through.
Like, you've never had to fist fight for toilet paper since COVID.
I wouldn't fist fight for toilet paper. I'd wipe my ass with leaves. But I get your point.
Yeah.
But it would take the threat of execution for me to trust my children
to
these coyotes.
Yeah,
what if you were dying?
I'm saying there are... Well, no, I was just trying to make the point that I think these parents, imagine what it would have to take for you to send your kids somewhere. Now put yourself in these parents' shoes. I think that's the rationale they're trying to handle.
No,
but
I don't think it is. I think they think that their life could be better and that they'll be accepted, so they're going to go ahead and do it. It's not like they're not being... Yeah, it is a better life. But they're not being threatened with execution. They're not being threatened with, if you live here, you're going to die. You're being threatened with, if you live here, it's going to be harder. So in exchange, I'm going to give you this person who may or may not get you across the fucking border.
Mm-hmm. Well,
that's not a trade I am personally willing to make.
What would cost you to make that trade?
So it would be one
What would
thing.
death?
What?
I just said you would have to threaten my family with execution.
So what if you're dying?
It would be.
What if you are going? You know you're dying.
It would be one thing if these were like criminals coming over here. And there was like a real national security issue. It's like, look, we can't let these gang members into our country. That is not what these children are. And that's
the vast majority of them are not criminals.
We can turn them into productive American citizens.
Fuck, why not teach them now while they're in here? At least teach them the basic education.
That's right. Democrat answer. Just throw more money at it.
ORR actually has teachers.
So that's their job. Why not bring some of them to the border?
It's hard to get them to ORR, but once they're there, I would even say they're decent care. They're not going to die of starvation.
Significantly better chances in the border.
They're going to have warm meals. They're going to have the stuff that they need. Okay.
So once you get them to ORR,
and they can become Americanized, and as in like buying into the culture and stuff. But so you wanted to move on to immigration as a whole.
No, I wanted to cross into how this influx of illegal immigration affects the taxpayers as a whole.
Okay, all right, bring it on.
So we're already paying a large sum of money, and again, so I'm not against immigration. I'm not. There's a term for Irandian. No, that's a capitalist thing where it's profits above everything else. I am pro immigration. I want I want the best and brightest to come to America and live here and help us prosper. That's what made America great. Is the ideas coming from around the world to this melting pot, uniting with other ideas and building the fucking space program. Like, that's what made us amazing in the first place. But what I am against is illegal immigration. So what I want to get into is how illegal immigration affects the U.S. taxpayer already. So, according to the IRS, only about 50% of illegal immigrants file individual income taxes every year. So that means about half of them pay federal income tax. Damn it, Nick.
Shut up.
Only half of them pay federal income tax?
Yes, that is according to the IRS.
Now, is that... Okay, never mind. I'll let you finish. Go.
50 to 75% pay state, municipal, and local taxes.
Okay. How many? What percent?
50 to 75. That is according to the IRS. Now, we're going to get into some stats from the CIS. Oh, Jesus. I can't remember what the CIS is. I had it.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, CIS.org. This is a study from 2018. 63% of households headed by an illegal immigrant use at least one form of welfare. Okay, so 63% of households headed by illegal immigrants are benefiting.
Center for Immigration Studies is CIS.
Okay, thank you. So 63% of them, headed by illegal immigrants, are benefiting from the U.S.'s social programs. Now, food programs, 45% benefit from food programs, food stamps and such. Medicaid, 50%. Cash welfare, these are tax write-offs. So, if you are getting the EITC, I think that's what it is. I can't remember. I don't have it written down. But cash welfare is 31%.
Now, are these illegal immigrants?
These are illegal immigrants.
Okay.
So cash welfare, 31% are receiving cash welfare, which again are tax write-offs or such. Now, what's interesting is that this number actually goes up the longer you've been here. So illegal immigrants who have been here less than 10 years, about 50% receive welfare of some kind. 10 years and up, 70% receive welfare of some kind. And 58% have at or less than a high school education.
That doesn't shock me. And it shouldn't shock you.
That does not shock me. Compared to the U.S. Like, it's just not surprising.
And it's never, immigration has never been that way.
So, PolitiFact.com. I don't know how much to trust PolitiFact. This is a quote, 55% of all immigrants are on public assistance in California. Given a half-true rating, which if you trust PolitiFact like I do, it means it's true. Because PolitiFact doesn't count food stamps or tax write-offs as welfare. Yep.
Okay.
And so that's how. So they're not only 50% are even paying into the system, but
Well, that's amazing.
Up to 70% are actually. So to be fair, 31% at the low end are receiving cash welfare.
That is amazing to me, because if only you said half of them pay into the system.
Yeah.
Do you understand that there are $200+ billion net revenue stream for the government?
Because
So
does that count their employment?
They give us, the United States government, $200+
Is that accounting for their labor?
Dollars.
Is that accounting for their labor?
No, this is pure tax revenue.
Bullshit.
Nope, it's not.
How much?
And they can do over $200 billion in net revenue.
Where is that from?
I could find it again. But I don't know how that doesn't make sense. I mean, there's what, over 15 million at this point?
12 million.
12 million. Okay. Where do they buy their groceries?
Stores.
What do you pay at stores?
Sales tax.
Do you think they don't pay sales tax?
It's not federal. That's state.
Not all of it.
Yeah, it is.
The profit from there goes to who?
So the corporations selling the goods make a profit, and therefore some of that profit goes to the feds.
And that's not even counting.
That is some gymnastics you're doing to make them pay their taxes.
No, it's really not, because this is something nobody disagrees with, this fact that they contribute more financially to the system than they take in benefits.
So do I.
Nobody takes it. Or, you agree with that then?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think they agree. If only 50% are paying
National
taxes.
Academy of Sciences. I had to search through my paper, but yes, the National Academy of Sciences.
That's that Cato Institute study. That's the same one I looked at earlier.
Yeah, they said that they generate more net tax revenue than they receive in government benefits. State, local, and federal.
That includes labor.
No. That's not tax revenue. That is payroll tax. That is federal tax. That is, I'm sure if you count state sales tax, they are a $200 billion net benefit. So net means
What's our GDP?
GDP doesn't matter. Our global budget, or not global budget, obviously.
Not yet.
Our United States, our United States budget's around probably. I know what our budget is. I don't know what our revenue stream is, but our budget is around $3 trillion a year.
Yeah, and I know that's overspending because.
And that's with these people taking the low income jobs, which is not uncommon for immigrants. All immigrants, whenever they first got here, first generation immigrants, it's not like they came. Very rarely.
The Irish worked the railroad. The Japanese, the Chinese worked the railroad. Like
very rarely did they come over here and become doctors. That happens, but it's very, very rare.
Oh fuck! What was the most common last name for a doctor now? Is Patil,
I didn't. Know
which
that.
is Indian.
I didn't know
It used to be Smith. But all I'm saying is, as much as they are contributing, they could be contributing a lot more. And they're not. But they are benefiting at a higher rate than actual nationalized citizens.
They commit crime at a less rate than citizens, too.
That's fantastic. You're not paying your fair share.
But they are. They're paying more than they receive. You know what I'm saying? They also have great economic benefits. I would challenge anyone to find me any consensus ever drafted from a group of economists that says that immigration has a negative long-term and short-term effect on the economy.
So does slavery.
Because they don't. Well, there's a good case against that, but
There's a good case against illegal immigration too. Just because it's got economical benefits doesn't mean it's okay.
okay. So what are the drawbacks then?
National security. Let's see.
They commit crime at a lesser rate, though. So it's not like these are gang members. Some of them are, I admit, but at a lesser rate than the average citizen. Still, that's violent.
I can't argue with that. That's
violent and non-violent crimes.
That's the Cato Institute, which
That's drug crimes, rape, murder, arson, drug use, whatever you could think of. Lesser rate than the average citizen.
Yep.
That's crazy.
But why should people who are not citizens be able to reap our social benefits? Is the U.S. taxpayer responsible for taking care of anyone who decides they want to come here for a better life?
They're also U.S. taxpayers, I would argue.
50% of them are not.
But we're talking as a group as a whole, right?
And 50% of that
50% of that whole is not.
Do we? So for one, we're not a country of necessarily just taxpayers. A bunch of people in America
Oh, for sure we are.
Still don't pay taxes, right?
What percentage?
Well, it depends. So, like, we have a lot of lower income people. They get everything back. And if you count what they receive in benefits, they take more from the system than they generate. That is a net loss. That's why we have
But there are citizens.
That's why we have deficit spending.
There's a lot more to deficit spending than that.
What do you mean? No, that's what deficit spending is you're not giving enough to the system as a whole, and the system keeps overspending.
No, but the government is deciding to spend money they don't have. Because they sell bonds.
And why don't they have it?
Because they're not taxing people.
Because citizens
Actually, no, in my opinion, it's because they're doing stupid shit with their money. Because we give way too much in foreign bullshit.
Well, that's, I guess, a separate argument, but I would probably agree with you there.
Yeah.
But you're going to have a hard time versus me. I mean, there's 17% of the labor force. What are you going to do? Kick them out?
Yeah. You fucking right I am.
All right. Well, you're going to piss a lot of people off.
Yeah, well, not the first time America's done it.
And you can't, for one, it's not practical. There's no way to do it.
So, as far as cost efficiency, it's more efficient to let these people just become citizens. And honestly, that was the thinking of Ronald Reagan. Like, it's going to cost the U.S. taxpayers more money to go through and find these people and deport them than it is to just let them continue being members of society. The problem is, if you keep doing that, you might as well just have open borders. And if you want to end the social welfare state and have open borders, we can have a conversation. But no one wants to end social welfare.
Why is that the only solution?
So what are your proposed solutions then?
I mean,
You can't have a welfare state while allowing anyone who wants to come in.
Well, it's not like we can take every single person on the planet, right? We literally
What if
can't.
they're all kids?
I don't know a practical way for them to get here, but in general, I would say you don't turn away kids in need of help. Whether that be, I mean, there are multiple solutions. You don't have to bring kids from Syria here. You can go set up camps over there.
On the taxpayers' dime.
I mean,
So we're going to fund Syria to let them build migrant camps that we have no control over.
That's not what I said. Who
You
said
said
that?
build them over there.
Yeah, they could be in U.S. control.
So are we going to occupy them? Are we going to occupy Syrian land?
We already do in a bunch of places.
Yeah, army bases.
Yeah, why can't we do that for a good cause for once?
So you want to build more foreign occupied land?
No. I mean, so kids from Syria coming over here, that's not going to happen. But our neighbors around us may come for our help, and I think we should help them.
Or one direction. Canadians aren't coming here.
No, Canada's life's pretty nice. If anything, we have Americans pushing north.
Yeah, marijuana.
Marijuana, they got a lot up there going for them.
Mostly marijuana.
But free healthcare is a big one.
Yeah,
a lot of
panels are great.
A lot of people on those border states, you would be shocked how many of them go over to Canada because you don't have to be a U.S. or you don't have to be a Canadian citizen in Canada.
You do have to live there for a while though, and pay taxes.
Well, for them, if you just go over there, like emergency surgery, same thing here. You know, but the difference there is that it doesn't cost you a dime.
We can discuss healthcare. We actually should do a healthcare podcast because I do think the healthcare system needs reform. Just like I think college tuition needs reform.
But as far as immigration goes, I mean, you can't detain and deport 11 million people. We don't have the manpower for it. We don't have the money for it.
I've already made the argument, like, if you were to today promise me that we're going to build a fucking wall and we're going to shut this illegal immigration shit down, everyone in the U.S. right now gets amnesty. If you want to make that deal.
I don't know that deal is even possible.
No, but would you make it? Let's assume it was possible.
What would you do what about asylum seekers? Let them in still?
Yeah, under the same process.
Well, that's kind of what's happening now, don't you think? A lot of these people are claiming
so that's another big problem that no one wants to discuss is a lot of these people, like, they get a court date to come review their asylum, and they just bail on the court date.
Which is kind of stupid. Because once you get the refugee status, government can't touch you.
Nick, that is a great tattoo.
Thank you. I need to go put some
lotion on it.
I need to wash it, put lotion on it. I might go do that here in a second because
I think that's code for Nick needs to masturbate.
Well, y'all are talking shit I don't know about. That's the problem.
It's just immigration. It's just basic stuff.
Yeah, you got the same input as you did before. Like, so I guess we're on to the point of
y'all
solution.
are talking about like the welfare stuff. That's something I didn't research, so I don't want to say something that's completely false.
Let me throw this to you, Nick. Like, you've been paying attention?
Yes.
Okay. What do you think from what we've said so far about immigrants?
Yeah, which way you leaning?
Illegal immigrants here now.
I mean,
I meant in general.
50%, like Garrett said, they benefit more.
No, we're talking about illegal immigration as a whole.
Oh, I hate it.
Okay.
I believe there's a right and wrong way to come here.
What if you've been here 40 years?
Should have came here in the first place.
So, are you first generation? Like, you came here and you've been here for 40 years.
Well, if they're second generation, they're citizens.
Yes, so, okay. I mean, it depends on when you came here. If you came here at a young age, you don't know the country that they're going to deport you to. I mean, that's the problem. You can't send someone who
So if you smuggled your 2-year-old over the border...
And
now they're 40 years old, or 42, they've never seen, say, Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
They don't speak, they probably speak Mexican. But they're more...
Spanish.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Racist.
Okay.
God!
Fuck y'all. But they don't know the culture. They don't know...
He wasn't
anything.
joking. He actually thought it was fucking Mexican, didn't he?
I don't fucking know.
He actually thought that
I Google translated through Spanish class, and I got an A. Fuck y'all.
Hey, that's all it takes, American education.
Teacher walked by as I was doing it, too, during the test.
That's because Miss Warning didn't give a shit.
True. So, I mean, I don't like anyone just crossing a border and coming here. I don't care. South, east, west, like you said, no one's fucking coming from the north. Except the fucking Canadian geese.
Goddamn
Build a
geese.
net. Build a fucking net. I didn't want the wall.
I think that's something we can all agree on. Fuck the Canadian geese migrating here.
Okay, so off topic. If y'all have never seen the Ron White bit where he's talking about how we buy Mexico, fix it up, and flip it. That is one of the funniest bits I've ever seen by a comedian. And then
It's not a bad idea either.
he's like, we just buy Mexico, annex it, fix it up, and flip it.
So okay, so my
Sell
take,
it back to Spain, damn it.
my take on immigration is, if you've been here a while, God, I mean, as an adult, if say you're 42, you came here when you were 2, you have no ties to the country you came from. You didn't even know that country. If you assimilated correctly, you're a productive member of your community and society, I don't see why to deport you. As long as you're paying your fair share. Because by that point, you're probably a citizen.
So, they're practically citizens now.
Now,
That's the key word.
Now, when you're a kid, if you're growing up in school, I mean, I have no problem with you getting your citizenship while you go through school.
Yeah, I
don't have a problem with, say, you volunteer for the army. If you're willing to die for this country, you should be a citizen. After you sign a contract, and after your contract's up, you're automatically a citizen. You're willing to die for this country.
So we're discussing solutions for like how to expedite us
Yes.
citizenship.
Right. If you want to be, as you're going through school, as soon as you turn 18, you register for the draft. You voluntarily go up to the courthouse and say, I want to register for the draft.
I think the moment you register for that draft, you get a social security number. Like you are a legal U.S. citizen once you're accepted by the military.
I would give you a year. You had a year. You do a process for a year. You've been through this. Why not?
Yeah, because to get a lot of the real government benefits like tax refunds, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, you don't need a Social Security number. Those are considered like general welfare benefits that we don't just offer to citizens. But Social Security, tax refunds, the stimulus check, immigrants don't get those. They don't have a Social Security number. So
you get food stamps, Medicaid.
like, oddly enough, prisoners do though, which I thought was odd. But
so my thing is,
prisoners
are citizens.
If you're an illegal immigrant and you volunteer for the army, I ain't got no problem with you being a citizen.
Ain't not a fucking one.
So
I don't care.
If we want to put an enlistment station at the fucking border, and you sign up,
You do your contract.
and you get hauled to basic, I'm 110% down with that.
I don't think that should be the only solution.
I don't think it should be the only
But
solution. I think
As an option?
that should be a really big incentive.
As an option, I wouldn't be opposed to it. The language barrier would be kind of rough though. I don't know how bilingual these people are, but if you only spoke Spanish, you can imagine how that would be difficult.
I bet you're gonna fucking learn in the military real quick.
I bet
You at least gonna learn the curse words.
Not anymore. They can't.
So what would you say in a scenario where a dude has been here 40 years? He's around, 50 years old. He's been here 40 years. He ain't been to Mexico in a while. He's got a wife here. He's got American citizen kids here. And then he gets deported.
You make those kids
Is that,
a single
is
parent
that,
household?
Is that okay? Or, like, to you, is that morally okay?
No, I don't.
Because that's a real scenario that has happened.
I don't think so. I would.
Yeah, 40...
So if it's a misdemeanor crime to cross the border illegally, there's a statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Now, the different, once you cross state lines, statute of limitations no longer applies.
He was in, one of the northern states, like Michigan.
So he crossed...
Here's the problem, though. Once you're married, you're legally a citizen. Or you're not legally a citizen. What is it called?
If you marry a U.S. citizen, you can apply for
Visa?
K-1.
Okay. So, I'm all for making a fast track, because 10 years to be a citizen is fucking long. That's a decade.
Now, okay,
That is possibly 2 presidents.
These people aren't being held... these people are living in the United States for that 10 years, though. To get citizenship.
They are?
Yeah.
Then yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's the problem.
That's what they're living in the United States without being a...
So,
I'm just saying, they're not being kept in Mexico.
There should be a faster way to be, because that's y'all's gripe. They're technically still illegal immigrants because they aren't U.S. citizens. Well, hell, what do you do then?
If you're currently in the process of trying to become a citizen,
I have no problem
and
with
the timeline is what's holding you up, I don't have a problem with you being here. You're actually going to your court dates. Mm-hmm. You're actually doing everything you need to be, and it's just taking a long time because of government bureaucracy. I don't have a problem with you being here. It's the people who are skipping their court dates, who are not even making an effort to actually become legal citizens that I have an issue with.
Okay.
Who are just like, fuck it, I'm not going to do
curious
it.
to know what percent is which.
I honestly am too. I didn't look that up.
But I mean, I don't know. I don't know what real solutions there are, but I mean, like I said, I got a soft spot in my heart for kids, man. You know, it's gonna be hard to win me over on sending them back to Honduras.
So what about families?
Oh yeah, if they're a family, then like under law, still technically now they have the right to send them back. I don't have a problem.
But should they be sent back? In your personal opinion?
Yeah, if you get caught crossing the border illegally, then yes, I think the government can send you back. Yes.
So you realize you're just in...
With the exception of asylum seekers.
So asylum seekers should just be let through, period.
Yeah, at least into the process,
so
right?
You're going to wave your hand at Border Patrol, say, no, I claim asylum, and walk on.
No, that's not what I said.
And skip your court date.
That's not what I said. That's what you said.
They do skip their court dates.
Some of them maybe, but I don't think you should make policies on the ones that don't. And I think, honestly, I don't have a problem with holding people till they get past the process. But I think it would be better for everybody if there was either a fast track through that, or they could come here, stay here, and be, practically citizens until they get the status.
What is it? A partial citizen?
I don't have a problem.
Practically citizen.
You can be a partial citizen, like you still
pay
taxes,
what more
you receive some
citizen
benefits.
In name only,
So what if we did that? What if you just came in, as you came in, we set up a registration station. You come in, your whole family, get social security numbers, and from that moment on, you start paying taxes.
So you're a partial citizen.
That's what
you're not a full citizen.
You are a partial citizen. You can't vote until you've been here for so long, and you can't reap any welfare benefits until...
And you mean like Social Security and stuff, right?
No.
You don't mean like food stamps, do you?
I mean
Medicare, Medicaid, okay.
What if their job offers them insurance?
That's different.
Well, that's fucking, went
So
to work, good job.
So you go in there, you get a partial citizenship card, you get a Social Security number, and from that day on,
Absolutely. And if we want to make that partial citizenship fucking 3 years, you got to prove you're a productive member of society for fucking 3 years and keep your nose clean.
Let's do it like we did the land run. You help your community for so many years, fucking keep it. It's like you did. You improve the land. After 2 years, fucking keep the land.
The U.S. ain't gonna give away land no more.
No, but like you proven you bettered your community. You've been a productive member of society. After so many years, you're a citizen.
So what if you've been here 20 years or more? We give you amnesty.
Absolutely.
No.
Now, hang on. Anybody less than that, we deport. Fuck on out.
I mean, would lie.
And
that's a good point.
It doesn't. We're not discussing the practicality. I'm just going to discuss plan or an idea. 20 years or more, you get to stay, and we're going to expedite your U.S. citizenry. Less than 20 years, you get the fuck on out. And then we set up 2 stations at border.
You're really trying to throw out immigrants, aren't you?
Well, if you've been there 19
You're really
and a half
wanting less of them motherfuckers here.
I'm wanting less of a burden on the American taxpayer.
What if you're 19? What if you're 19, 11 months?
50% don't pay taxes, and up to 70% take welfare benefits.
Yeah.
That is a tax burden on the U.S. taxpayer.
But what's their tax benefit? Don't just conveniently leave that part out.
I'm not convenient. I don't have it in my notes, Wyatt.
It's over $200 billion in net benefit.
Don't think so.
I mean, you can. I mean, you quoted the same study.
No, I didn't. None of that's from Cato or the National Academy of Science.
This is, in fact,
this is all from
the National
Center
Academy
of Immigration Studies.
But did you not quote one earlier that said that they commit crime at a lesser rate? That basically everyone.
Oh, no, I was agreeing that I've seen the study you're quoting.
Okay. You don't dispute that one.
I do not dispute that they commit crime at a lesser rate. Every stat, FBI stats, everything I've seen.
Yeah.
They commit crime.
Anyone
at a
who
lesser
says
rate.
different probably read a Facebook article.
Yep.
And
or they listen to Donald Trump. Which there are things to listen to Donald Trump about.
Not
but
much.
Not everything.
Not much.
When he tells you to go peacefully protest at the Capitol, maybe skip that one.
So, I'm all for fast tracking the
Wink.
the
Go
the
peacefully
process.
Oh, shit.
I'm all for fast tracking the process. I'm all for shortcuts. Say you as soon as you cross the border, volunteer. You do the same. However, how many
You
years the
have an
contract
influx
is.
of people in the military, though.
And the military reaps. That's my big issue with it, is they're going to have a whole bunch of people in the military. And
Before you
the
come out,
so the military has a right to be selective.
true, but the Marines ain't.
So what if we just okay, the military can turn it down at any point? And what if we're filled to capacity? Because
So
really,
if
being
you're
a
deemed
military
military infit,
member, being a military member, you reap benefits of the U.S. taxpayer too.
but you're
Lifetime
also
healthcare?
you're also putting a higher risk on yourself. And I don't want to hear
I'm
we're
saying
the
one.
greatest time of peace. No, there's always that risk. You can be shipped off to. We're still in the middle
That's
of a
true.
war. We're in the middle of a war.
Both arguments of that, both sides of that's true. We are in a very large peacetime.
But we're still in the middle of a war.
It
It ain't
the war on terror. It's not really a war.
We're still doing Afghan. Afghan's still going
We're
on.
occupying nations. We've been occupying nations since World War One.
That's true. But if you volunteer for the draft and you volunteer for the military, I ain't got no problem with you being a citizen once your contract's up.
So what happens when we have a standing military of 1 billion?
So we can compete with China.
Probably shouldn't be the only option. As a matter of fact, it probably shouldn't. I mean, just the practicality
So
of
what
it.
if we limited?
Sure,
What
they're
if we limited it to 18 to 22-year-old fighting age men?
What do you do for the rest?
Okay, I'm willing to go 18 to 25. Physically, and you have to pass the physical fitness test that everyone has to pass. If you want to make them
Off
take,
the bat.
if you want to make them take an ASVAB, I don't have a problem
Well,
with
they're
that.
gonna have to
Gonna-
take an ASVAB.
Gonna have to be in Spanish.
Probably.
No offense. It's just
That's
the truth.
another thing too. Like Wyatt had a good point. Like the language barrier for the U.S. military is going to be a bitch.
You're gonna learn real quick. You're gonna have to.
Language is there's a huge learning curve
Yeah,
for
and
language.
language is complicated as shit.
Language, there's a huge.
All they
learning
need to
curve,
know is
man.
gun and enemy. That's it.
That's not
No.
true. Civilian.
You know, you're gonna need to
Didn't
know.
matter in Vietnam. Did it?
Friendly.
So we have problems with crossfire now, like friendly fire, like accidentally killing your own guys because the communication wasn't there.
Remember-
That's how Pat
Yes,
Tillman
I remember
died.
Pat Tillman.
So if you not only add the fact that you can't understand the person you're communicating with, I don't know how that's gonna help anything.
I mean, that'd be a good benefit.
And I'm not saying
think
these
about it
people
like this.
can't learn English.
If-
I'm just saying it's gonna be
if you
hard.
do-
What if they already know English?
Yeah, I have no problem.
So the military's if we set up a U.S. a U.S. military board at the border for them to sign up, there's gonna have to be certain criteria, right? Like you're gonna have to be able to at least understand some
I also
some
think
form of English.
Okay, so
I also think it's a benefit. Think about it like this: we had Cherokee code talkers. No one could speak Cherokee at the time.
Yeah, but those Cherokee code talkers could also speak fucking English. Like
But think about
they
like
were
this.
bilingual. They weren't.
But you can think about it like this.
and they had a niche.
So
too. They
most
had
of
a
the people we
specific
fight,
role.
most
Yeah.
people we fight could probably speak somewhat English. If not, they have translators.
So English is the language of money, which is why most of the world speaks it.
So think about it. Say you capture a guy, he speaks little English, but speaks fluent Spanish. Imagine all the codes you can send that they're not gonna know.
Ain't nobody, everyone in this fucking planet knows how to speak Spanish. It's
Spanish
not like the
is-
Cherokee
Then why?
code talkers. No one knew how to speak fucking Cherokee. That's why, and it was better than the fucking Nazis.
And I think it was Navajo.
Was it the Navajo?
I think it was.
I thought it was the
Navajo.
Cherokee.
Could be wrong.
I'm pretty sure it was
Let-
Cherokee
let
code
me
talkers.
see.
I could be wrong. We're from Oklahoma. If we don't know, that's bad.
Let's see.
I mean, we're white from Oklahoma, but
God, it is the Navajo.
Yeah.
Fuck.
God, it
God,
just
we're foreign
fucking
cultures.
hurts being so right all the time.
You can go fuck
you wouldn't
yourself.
know.
So why is immigration so different now than it used to be?
It used to be
No, and I don't mean
under Kennedy. It was like a revolving door. You came in, did your work, left.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. No one was bitching when Irish, when Italians,
Shit had to be done. Someone had to build that
Jews.
railroad.
when
Blow up that mountain.
Chinese, when all these people came over here, and nobody cared. It was like there was no concept of a closed or open
There was
border.
a lot more.
You want to know why?
I understand that the world has changed a lot since then,
You want to know why?
and it's more complicated.
You had to
We
build
also
a-
didn't have the social benefits that we do now,
No, think about it like this.
or the tax rates.
No,
They were building.
It's
the
very
goddamn
simple.
railroad.
You had to build a railroad through the Appalachian Mountains, and you had to blow those mountains up. So you sent people
And
like
they just
Irish
they had
people.
just gotten rid of your slaves too.
So you had Irish people come in willing to do anything to get a job. You said, all right, carry this nitroglycerin that if you carry too fast will blow up into that little hole in the mountain and just light it and run.
Yeah.
And we'll pay
I
you
think the
62 cents.
I think the bottom line is there weren't as many benefits to being an American at that point.
There were more things to do, and you didn't have to pay as much.
I mean, why would Irish people cross a sea?
Because they were dying from the
massive.
potato famine.
Their only thing of food source was dead.
Britain's
And also,
right
let's
there.
also discuss how much abuse the Irish took.
Yeah. Britain hated Ireland.
I'm not. Well, shoot. I mean,
Britain still hates Ireland.
After they got
Everyone
after their
hates
ass
Britain.
got kicked.
but I think that in general, like immigrants have had a pretty shitty shake whenever they got here, and it's always been that way.
That's
But
true.
very rarely did we say we got to get them the fuck out of my country.
That's not true.
That's
German
not-
immigrants actually had
not
a
true.
real hard time.
Chinese.
Chinese.
We refused
So
Chinese people.
For a
We
very long time,
assimilated
Chinese and
a
Germans.
bunch
Jews.
of them.
Jews, we
Yes.
refused Jewish people
We
during World War
refused Jewish
II.
too. So we've refused to take immigrants for a long time. The only difference is now we're not doing it based on ethnicity. I'm not refusing them because they're Central American. I'm refusing them because they're a burden. An unfair burden on the U.S. taxpayer. But like the Germans, so the Germans came and started an occult movement because they brought old Germanic
But
tradition.
you know, economically, they're not a burden.
I don't think that's true.
Well, you take it up.
And
with,
I actually
with-
think that the
with
lower
data, you can take your argument up with data.
I will.
It just
I
says
will, I will
50% of
find
them.
big data and I will punch it in the
Big
nose.
data. I mean, like you may as well tell somebody that like grass isn't green. Like,
Yeah,
or, like,
well,
Benji's
you-
right.
like trees not
Whatever.
trees aren't made out of wood.
50% don't pay federal income tax, but 70% take welfare. So,
You may as well tell them that Al Gore won the 2000 election.
well, Al Gore thinks he did.
Not anymore.
You
Not
sure
back then.
fuck did.
Hillary still thinks she won 2016.
I mean, you may as well tell people that Barack Obama was the first president. It's like, well, that's.
I
not
mean, to
true.
some people he was. I think Michelle Obama said
You
the
know,
first
to-
time
you know,
she
to
felt
black-
pride in her country was the time she
You know,
had
to
her
black
husband.
people, he is to somewhat extent considered the first president.
That's dumb.
Wow.
And
Fuck Lyndon B. Johnson.
if
I
they
guess.
don't start with Lincoln, black people, I know like sincere black people who count Abraham Lincoln as their first president in practice. I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I think if you're going for
Wouldn't it be,
American history,
Ulysses S. Grant would have been their first president. Actually, not even them. Who had the... Lyndon B. Johnson gave him the right to vote? Or signed the law.
No. Yeah, no. Lyndon B. Johnson gave
Because you
civil
know what?
rights.
That's actually an actual argument. Because they weren't allowed to vote. So
No,
really,
no.
their first...
No.
Their first
They
president.
could vote. They had to go through a line
Garrett,
of
they
Jim
just had to
Crows.
they just had to pass a literacy test. What are you talking about? I'm saying that ironically. I know you guys can't see my face.
So-
I mean, I personally don't find literacy tests to be voter
you've never taken one.
Yeah,
That
but I
test,
can read and write
that
English.
test, but you couldn't pass these tests.
You want to bet?
Yeah. What do you want to bet?
I bet my left nut.
You got to complete a 60-question exam in 8 minutes, and the test is
Okay.
designed to get you to fail, and you got to get like 70% of them right.
Okay.
And it's literally not possible. It was meant to be not. If you passed, it was on accident. That was the point of the test.
Have you ever taken the test?
Yes.
Are you just stupid?
No. It was given
I
as
think, I think one of the I think
It
one of
was
the
given as
questions is,
a-
did you stop beating your wife this weekend? Is a yes or no?
Look, so I'm not going to argue that 1960s or 1960s
you just
civil
did.
rights.
You just did.
This
that.
is-
No,
this
so
isn't
I
just-
don't think. Hang on, I want to clear
This
that
is
up.
after they were free.
I don't
and gave
think
them the right
modern.
to
I don't
vote.
think modern literacy tests would be a problem.
No, there's no
Look,
point.
you need to read and write English because you need to read and write and understand the laws that you're electing.
In a country that has 99% of its citizens like can read and write,
How many are uninformed?
not a problem.
How many of them are illegal?
About 12 million.
Yeah, about 12 million.
At least 5.
All right. Well, any rounding thoughts?
Look, so I just want to reiterate, I'm not against immigration. I want the best and the brightest the world has to offer. I think that's what's always made America what we are. A cultural assimilation of I mean, every migrant community that's ever come in mass to the United States has influenced our culture. Every single one. The Irish, the Germans,
Italians,
the Italians,
Chinese,
the Chinese,
Japanese.
we've all grown into what makes America a melting pot.
We've all benefited from everything.
I'm not against legal, well thought out immigration to which they provide and reap the benefits of our society. I am against people who come to this country to reap the benefits without paying their due, without paying their fair share, and to just be burdens on the system. I think it's unfair. I think it is in fact illegal. And my tax dollars shouldn't go to take care of people who aren't going to who aren't going to help take care of me or mine. I mean, that's bottom line. And I also have a soft spot for kids. If we want to give an exception, like we want to draw an age line in the sand, I could be convinced of that. But we're going to draw the line in the fucking sand. I'm sick of giving inches and getting miles taken from me.
Do you know why it's called a line in the sand?
Pick one side.
Because the line can move.
Yeah, see? And that's the thing.
No, that's literally the origin of it.
Oh, I did
not. The line was meant to move.
I did not know that.
I thought
so I'm gonna carve a line in rock.
There you go.
I thought the line in the sand was you pick a side and you stay on it.
That's my fear is that I'll give you an inch and you'll take a mile. Because that's what's happened for my entire lifetime, for my dad's entire lifetime, for our grandfather's entire lifetime before us. Is every single fucking time I give an inch and I compromise just a fucking little bit, 10 years later I'm compromising a lot more. And I'm sick of doing it. I really am.
Nick, your thoughts? Final thoughts?
I believe we could implement things to make immigration easier. Like Gary said, we've all benefited from immigrants coming over here. I mean, there needs to be change on how we can fast track a process. And again, if you're willing to die for this country and volunteer for it, I don't have a problem with you being a citizen after your contract's up. I don't. You did what every U.S. citizen wants to do. So,
my final thoughts. I think American immigration has always been a good thing, like everyone else in this podcast seems to think. They weren't the best and brightest when they came here. Ireland came here on a potato famine in the hopes that they didn't starve to death building a fucking railroad fighting Indians. Germans came over here because of a failed revolution, and they were literally just trying not to be killed because of their political beliefs. Jews came over here partly to leave the Holocaust. China just got out of a war with Japan whenever they decided to come over here. And they knew how to build railroads, and they saw their niche, and they came over here. The Italians, similar thing. They were crippling into fascism. Nobody wanted to stay there. They came here. They were not doctors. They were not your university professors. They came here. There was a give and take on both sides. They made us more Italian. We made them more American. Ultimately, we made them more American than they made us more Italian. There's always that give and take, and that's fine. That's what it means to be assimilated. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, and I think there's no reason why we can't do that with Hispanics. I don't see why it's not possible. But, alright, well, I guess this is the end of the episode. This has been The Refined Peasants.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that little notification bell in the corner, and be sure to let us know if you guys have any ideas for what you want to see from us next. We're a new upcoming podcast. Share it with your friends if you're confident.